So these are some symptoms, right? We can notice if we feel that these symptoms when we are normal. Okay. I mean, if you are definitely if not feeling well, taking pills or down with fever and all, that's different part. But in general, if you have, all these problems or symptoms, you feel that yes, you need to work on your mind is under stress or your body is under stress. And what are those? These are like thinking traps, right? You think about same thing again and again, right? And this is completely imaginary, right? For example, you are fearing some. Typically, this happens in the students, right? We have this all so-called popular exams going on, right? And then students typically are under stress, and then they imagine, right, what if I get question I'm not able to answer, what if I get questions from that chapter which I'm not prepared. So all what if condition, right? And your mind keeps thinking about that particular thought, and that is thinking traps, right? So that is one symptom. Jumping to conclusions, basically, again, this is imaginary, right? So we try to this is more of a suspicious thing. Basically, you're getting into various conclusions with a suspicious mind, right? You're working on a deal and you're somebody not trusting someone, basically, right? And you want to imagine various things. Your mind starts imagining that, right? What if this guy does not stick to term? What if I've given some advance to someone? What if I don't get my deliverable and things like that, right? So this is all trying to jump to the conclusion. Casting blame, right? You're trying to always blame system, government, and weather, and so on and so forth. Overgeneralizing the failure, right? Many times, even if you fail, it's okay. We talked about it, right, in the previous session. And failures are part and parcel of life, unless we are doing the same thing again and again. We are not learning from it. Failure is it's okay. I mean, we tried honestly. Our intent was good, right? We worked hard, but then we failed. But then you don't generalize the failure that it's I am not capable of it, right? I won't be able to do this. I won't be able to handle it, and right, just because of one failure, you try to generalize things. Negative one and helpful emotional reasoning, right? Actually, you try to blame yourself, right? This is more of a guilt trap, basically, right? Where your mind tries to really blame you, right? uh, about something, basically, right? So this is another symptom. Uncontrolled anger or irritation, right? So you've seen, right? Typically, people where they're under stress, these are some of the symptoms that we easily see, right? So we quickly react without thinking, or right, we start looking at everything negatively, right? So many a times this happens so that parents went out it on their children, kids, or managers went out on their teams, and customers went out on their teams, and so on and so forth, right? So that could be a thing. Emotional fatigue, I just talked about it. While negative emotional, unhelpful emotional reasoning, the same thing. Ongoing anxiety, right? Again, the same part, which is same thing, right? You're trying to imagine some futuristic situation where you always feel that, oh, this will not go right. Okay, while planning perspective, it is good, but you always keep talking, thinking, and imagining continuously that this will go wrong, right? What if I miss the bus? What if I miss the plane? What if I don't get up? Then that's anxiety is one reason. Migraines, this is a physical symptom. Basically, you have this headaches, hypertension, blood pressure. Many times people either gain weight or lose weight, or there are digestive issues with people, right? Insomnia, irregular sleep patterns, right? People kind of not able to sleep peacefully. Chronic headaches, muscle tension, tense body. You right, the body becomes tense because they are in the defensive mechanism system, basically, right? So always in the defense mode. uh, Tense muscles, right? These are some of the symptoms that you should look at, or rather you should talk to your body, right, and understand if any of these symptoms are there. Of course, when you are well, you are not bedridden or down with fever or something. In your day-to-day life, you see such symptoms and you notice it at least more than once, then you can see that there's some stress that you are under. Basically, it could be a physical stress or a mental stress. So, and what again, once we know that we are under stress, we need to know what are the areas that typically we need to narrow down. And typical areas that we have is like, financial obligations, right? There are some financial problems, self-health problems, or health problems in the family, time and task management challenges, right? So there's a lot to do in a small, you've committed so much, or you had some important task, but you could not give the time for some reasons, and now you have to deliver it. So, right, because the important thing depends on it. So that's another thing. Relationship challenges, many people have those challenges, and that's another area that causes stress. And other incidents and events, right? So I mean, people do have events, incidents in their life, right? uh, that can cause stress, right? It could be not really a regular thing, uh, but something significant, right? That you are really, so for some, for example, as I said, right, you are appearing for some competitive exam, right? And then it's like, uh, you unnecessarily try to take a stress of it, basically, by imagining worst can happen, and then you get into the stress. And there's so many such, like, competitions, especially when it comes to your kids. There could be several competitions, or examinations, or all those things where people have either stage fear or something of that sort, right? And then people try unnecessarily stress out. Okay, so the physical problems, as again Archana mentioned, the same thing I'd like to say here is that, uh, this when the stress is overwhelming, it affects your physical well-being, right? We need to understand and appreciate that part, and really, manage the stress. And it affects things such as metabolism, memory, and immune system. So in general, it's not a good idea to be in the stressful situation. You try to work on the things, right? So we'll see how do we act. So this is the interesting philosophy or approach to handle stress. This is four A's, again, very coincidentally, it relates to our name A4. But here is the way, right? I mean, the very simple philosophy or approach to handle the stress is accept, adapt, alter, and avoid, right? So let's look at each of these. In the accept part, uh, see, there are so many things, right, in the world, in the universe, that are not in your control, right? So I mean, basically, you've planned certain, nice movie, got some good people together, and electricity goes down, and you don't have power, right, to celebrate, basically, right? So this is uncontrollable. There's nothing in your control. So the quickly you need to do is that this was to happen and this happened, right? We tried our best, we planned, but there's always Murphy's law. Things go wrong. We tried our best. Yeah, but many times, if you don't try best and something wrong goes, then, or if you don't try, your mind starts, punishing you, basically, right? You could have, been proactive. You could have taken care of this. You could have taken care of that, right? For example, your UPS battery, you never maintained it, basically, right? It needs water or some maintenance care or whatever, right? Regular checkup. You did not do that, and then it's just, it just broke down when the electricity was gone, right? And it was an important call that you had, or some celebration at home, right? And then all your plans went for toss, right? So it is uncontrollable, right? But if you had planned for it, you acted, and then if something goes wrong, you can at least satisfactorily say that, okay, that was to happen, that happened, right? I tried my best, but something went wrong. But if you don't plan well, then you will not be able to respond, right? And the mind will keep punishing you. Another is, once you accept, then look at the upside of it, basically, right? That this is some opportunity, right, for you to learn something new, right? You learn some lesson, right? You'll be more proactive, and so look at how it is an opportunity for you to learn, right? It something has gone wrong anyways, right? Actually, so that's another thing. There is an interesting movie on Disney called Lucky, right? Lucky, Lucky, right? So they said that when they talked a lot length about good luck and bad luck, right? So then they realized towards the end that when the bad luck was around in people's life, they were happy because they got a lot of people who cared for each other together, basically, right? So they really found good friends when things were not happening, going well, right? They were having bad luck. So look at it from the upside views, right? You really get to know people when you're in tough conditions, right? And you get to see the you get very good friends and all. Forgive again, as I said, right? If you planned well, then just forgive yourself, right? Basically, many a times it happens so that you keep blaming yourself, right? You feel sad because you spoiled everybody's time, right? And then you start feeling guilty about it, and your mind kind of really starts punishing you. So forgive and express. So what happens is that because this all is happening in a bad situation, right? You really need to, I mean, let it out and you can express it. There are many techniques basically. The one of the techniques is you just take a piece of paper, write it down, and just tear it off or burn it, whatever, right? And while burning, be careful. Don't burn your house or every and another somebody else's. So, but then this is one technique. Second is you talk to somebody who's dear one, and it's fair to say that okay, things are not going right or something has gone wrong, and vent it out basically, right? So that's how you feel good, because then people relate to their problems and you quickly realize that everybody has sooner or later such situations. Another A is adapt. Basically, now in the you have to adapt to the new normal, right? For example, COVID, all of us had this stressful situation. Like most of the people in the world went through a lot of stressful conditions, but then eventually they adapted, right, to the new normal, and sitting at home, right? So you kind of try to basically bring about change in your life, right? So that's adapting to the new normal basically, right? There's no point you know uh, stressing out basically, right? That how long we need to sit at home, when would it end, and all that stuff, right? So it has happened, right? There's nothing you can do about it. Just better adapt to it, right? How do you spend your time better, right? Many people took that opportunity to call a lot of people they haven't talked to in years basically, right? And did so many things that they always wanted to do, right? And usually people got used to it, right? Another thing is reframe, right? This is similar to basically this is opportunity for you to learn, right? Actually, so look at it, reframe the problem as to basically, okay, this problem is something that okay, it's happened to you only, and you're so how bad luck, how kind of well, I would say bad lucky you are basically, and all those things. You can always cast blame upon yourself, but you can look at reframe the problem, saying that hey, by the way, this would also give me opportunity to do something else, right? Why not I take up that part, and so look at it differently, right? Otherwise this would have never forced you, this would have never triggered, right? You always wanted to learn to play guitar, right? Or wanted to do learn meditation or yoga or exercise. So this is a new system, right? Where you've got bedridden for quite some time due to accident, etc., right? Actually now there's nothing can be done about it. It has happened many a times. People, when accidents happen or some theft happens, they say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Whatever has happened is happened, right? What I would do is that now it's my time. Other than whatever I do stationarily, can I read more books? Can I watch more content, which I always wanted to do? And look at it, reframing it. Another thing is basically look at it as a big picture, right? How many a times the small incidents people stress out basically. Let's say somebody your let's say somebody gifted you a very important pen, right? Or other very nice pen, and it is lost basically, right? And it's like you unnecessarily stress out. Just think to yourself that okay, after a year, how important would it be? After few months, how important would it be? Actually, imagine yourself after a few months or a few year, and it's okay, right? Things happen. So basically look at the big picture, right? Is it going to change my life? No, right? And so on and so forth basically, right? So look at that. Adjust standards. Many times people stress out because they are so particular about being perfectionist, And many times, as I said, like, some things are not in your control. So is like what you expect from others is not the thing that you get. And when you be perfectionist, then you always have this challenge basically, right? So you just need to accommodate, right? And take it easy. So adjust your standards basically, right? Say that, okay, for if I'm expecting 100%, I may get 95%, right? I may get 90%. I'll try to fix the remaining. That's okay. I had set a good standards, good bar. People tried, but maybe people have limitations basically, right? So something of that sort. Gratitude again. Thank yourself, thank nature, right? That you've been gifted with so many things, right? You are so blessed basically, right? That I keep typically talk about, right? How many people are there on this planet, right? 7 billion, let alone the other creatures basically, right? Of which how many have uh, got opportunity to got even the primary education, right? Of which how many could even get to the high school, of which how many could even go to the college, of which how many could go to the colleges that they wanted, of which how many got some interesting career basically, right? Where they're designing things, creating things, right? Programming, etc., right? Of which how many are kind of financially strong, independent, and so on and so forth, right? So we are so blessed basically, right? Anything could have gone wrong, right? But so many things have happened, right? So something could go wrong, it's okay, right? I mean, it's always, there are so many other things that have gone right. So express the gratitude. Okay. Another thing is alter. So express yourself, right? Basically, for example, you are working on some important task and somebody is coming to your desk, chit chatting basically, right? And you really are trying to focus. Somebody is trying to call you again and again on social media or phone or in person, and you just tell that, okay, I need to focus on this, this is something important, and please let me focus on it. I'll we can fix up some other time for the discussion, right? So express, right? You don't just say, oh, what will he feel or what will she feel if I don't entertain that person now, right? So people have different responsibilities. So at the same time, you also should compromise basically, right? For example, if people are ready to compromise for you, many times it so happens so that there are things where both things are important. But if you really plan or communicate it well, you can accommodate both, right? So if your kid wants you to be around and there is something important pressing, right, you always want to talk to your manager team and say that, hey, what, is it okay if I take a day off and be with my kid, because that's his birthday or whatever, right? Actually, and I really want to spend some quality time, right? So it's not that, okay, my appraisal is coming, I want to be focusing hard and I don't care, I just want to focus on my work, my output. So you should also be ready to compromise things, right? So to balance out a lot of things together. And that brings to the other point of balanced life schedule, where many people just try to be workaholic, right? And try to spend a lot of time around the work. And the challenge is that when things are going well, that's fine, but there is a time when body starts giving up basically, right? Your mind starts giving up, or your brain starts giving up, and it's like, and then you don't have anybody, right? Because you always focused on your work and work, right? You haven't developed any hobbies or haven't kind of tried to find interest. I'm not saying you didn't find anything interesting, you didn't try to find anything that you can develop interest in basically, right? You can always develop interest can be developed basically, right? Either by reading books or doing painting or taking walk in nature and so on and so forth, right? So then if you do that early enough, then you have a balanced life schedule. So then it's like, if you force that kind of a change early enough in your life, then it is you can alter yourself. And last but not least is basically avoid, right? So some people, no matter what, however you deal with them, they always cause stress to you, right? Many times some people who are arrogant, irrelevant, illogical, right, egoist and whatnot, right? There's all kinds of people, right? But in your case, if you can avoid these people, you can definitely avoid the people. Take control, right? Actually, for example, you are sitting in the hall and people, your somebody at home watching news, they have habit to watch news, and then you realize that, oh, these news are always negative basically, right? It's like at the end of the day, when I come here, I see there is, this problem, that problem, this court case, that court case, and you just don't want to take it up basically, right? So you just kind of, move from there, right? Just don't sit passively and let that all content affect your mind basically, right? So because in your case you might be able to read important news on the mobile phones while somebody in the family may not. So you don't have to really, take it. So take control of your situation, your environment, right? Another important thing is learn to say no. Okay. So here is basically when you don't want to do certain things, you can always be polite but assertive. Basically, that saying that, I would rather skip it. Right? Many times it happens so that your friends give you a call when you are tired and stressed out, and there is a big day ahead in front of you, very important day, or or something that you always wanted to do. And early morning, go for a trek, and people say, "Hey, let's go for a party." And then you are worried basically, right? Actually, if I don't do so, then basically they will feel bad, but it's okay, right? If you've done it once or twice with them, you can always say no rest of the time, because you have something planned up and you want to have a very good sleep. So learning to say no is okay. I mean, no one like feels bad, even if, because if they apply the same techniques at a, let's say they look at it as a big picture. Hey, if XYZ is not around, is it going to matter next time we do the trek? Is it going to matter 1 year down the line, and so on and so forth, right? So they will also adapt and accept, right? They will not worry, feel bad about it. So be assertive, right? Listen to your heart, and then accept things basically. Prioritize and focus. This is also important because everybody, I mean, there are only so many hours in the day, and people really have to prioritize. So it's a very good idea, and I'll talk about it. I keep talking about it in time and task management. So you need to prioritize and focus, right? So two important sessions. One is this time and task management, and other is financial planning. If you really understand those and practice those things, a lot of this kind of stress will go out of your life, right? At least you will have a starting point about dealing with that stress basically, right? So we need to prioritize and focus, right? How many times, roughly put some estimates, try to see, break down your day in multiple time slots. As we said, right, if we work 8 hours a day, allocate for work, 8 hours for our personal activities, and 8 hours of sleep, then if you look at 8 hours, 8 hours is nothing but you have what, 16 slots of 30 minutes each, or 32 slots of 15 minutes each, right? So you have so many slots, right? Actually, and then if you can carefully allocate certain slots to the work in hand and allow some break in between, right? So there's a very nice schedule that you can build up, and then you can prioritize, reprioritize, and focus on really. So if you feel that towards the, it's every couple of hours, it's good idea for you to reassess, what is remaining and what can be done, what is more critical. It's not that every you want to solve all the world's problem in this on the same day. You can always push on some of the things while communicating with others. Say, is it okay if I do it couple of days later or 3 days later, or what's really a emergency? I have these five things, which two things are most important, or can you just give me the help me with the priorities, right? So time to time you align with your managers, teams, and so on and so forth, right? And that's how you can avoid some of the stress. All right. These are four important aids of dealing with the stress. uh, Moving, so the ones what I told you is that, this is like the immediate approach. How do you, when you get into a stress, how do you deal with the stress? This is these are the long term remedies. Long term remedies is get moving, move your muscles, be active in the day. Don't just be at one place. Your body needs all your muscles, they need to be flexible, agile, moving. So start moving basically, right? Be on the move, as they say, basically, right? So be agile, exercise, right? It's like people, do all, there are maybe different types of people, right? Some people somehow just ignore the exercise importance of it, and some people overdo it basically, right? Going I mean, many times, at times it's a hobby, it's okay, but many times people are again worried and they are stressful because they see somebody in the family and some experience and they try to overdo things. So in general, 30-minute slots are good for the exercise, right? Not even 1 hour. 30 minutes exercise is good to start with. If your body enjoys, you enjoy, don't get tired, fatigued, which is okay. You don't have to really sweat out, completely drench yourself in the sweat. But 30 minutes exercise with good combination of walking, running, stretching, right, breathing, is good. And 5 times a week is good. There also you can skip couple of days, not a problem. But having some element of exercise is good. Relax, right? Listen to good music. I mean, you choose what gives relaxation to your mind. For example, I enjoy Sufi songs actually, right? A lot of good melody and good combination of Indian instrumentals. So that's a very good combination in Sufi songs. So I enjoy those. So you can also also enjoy some interesting, articles, analyzing some nice articles. For example, technology, non-technology, economy, history. I love history, reading history. So you can look at such ways out, talking to being with the family, playing with kids. These are very good ways. Go out into nature. See, meditation is not necessarily always closing your eyes and sitting at one place not doing anything. It is also when you get into the nature, go near to the nature, you are in sort of doing meditation. So if possible, try to be in the nature basically. Manage your time better. We talked about it, right? Prioritize things, work on the time and task management principles, get enough sleep. Okay. Be in the moment. So this is another aspect of meditation basically. There are many people who teach this kind of a thing where you are just present physically, you know that you are there, but you are not thinking about anything basically, right? It's like uh, I mean, it's just uh, it's more or less like sleeping, but with your brain. I mean, you're being aware about yourself basically, right? So some techniques are there, different kind of techniques are there, but it's good relaxation technique. Kinder with the inner dialogue. Stop blaming yourself. Stop feeling guilty about things always. Right. Learn. All you can do is that learn about from the mistake and then forgive yourself. Right. And then commit to yourself that it will not happen again. Right. Things go wrong, right? So a lot of people, right? So interestingly, we had this in the childhood. We had the story of Ramayana, right, where Rama went after that whatever that creature, and then Ravana kind of abducted Sita, right, kidnapped her. So I mean, there's no point feeling guilty about it, right? It's just learn from the mistake. So even the biggies do mistake, right? That we learn from these such kind of stories. So it's okay as long as you learn, you tell yourself what is the learning and you commit to yourself. It will not happen again. So don't stop punishing yourself. Like focus on the learning, right? So be kind, the inner dialogue. Express gratitude. As I told, you've been blessed with so many things. Look at positives also when you get in, a bad situation. Express yourself with the dear ones, right? So continue to talk with dear friends. Write it in your diary or paper or whatever, right? And something that is negative, and then vent out those thoughts. Basically, these techniques are proven, and they tend to help you. So these are long-term remedies. Importantly, when you get into a stress, so what is quick rule basically, right? Actually, so this is the golden minute remedy and some of the tools. On a lighter side, basically, on in the Hindi, right? We used to have this joke, right? I mean, you would have seen it in WhatsApp, right? Uh, और आई मीन फॉर दैट मैटर, अगर आप जंगल में जाते हो और आपके सामने शेर आता है तो आप क्या करोगे? एनीबॉडी?
जो करेगा सर वही करेगा, हम तो
शेयर
बस
करेक्ट.
करेगा.
एब्सोल्युटली राइट,
करेक्ट
एक्चुअली राइट, जो कुछ करना है शेयर करेगा, आप
शेयर
क्या कर
करेगा
सकते हो बेसिकली.
राइट
ऑलराइट. So, okay, taking a lighter part out actually, right? These are some of the techniques basically, right? It's taking a deep breath. Breathing has a quick impact on your mind and your thought process. So, so that is something that we need to do through a soothing movement, right? So even the physical movements, basically, when you are anxious, you walk rapidly, right? You are on the phone talking to some salesperson or a delivery guy or somebody, right? So if you just try to, smoothen your movement, basically, right? Knowing that some movement is not right, okay, not normal, right? That also changes, has an impact on the mind. Guided imaginary, right? If you are stuck in the traffic, right? Now what you do, right? So just there's no point blaming, right? This happened, right? Some accident has happened or some choke has happened, some, car is broken basically, right? So there's nothing you can do for some time, right? So why just unnecessarily, so guided imagery, basically you can imagine yourself somewhere else, try to, kind of build a story around it, your favorite places, dream about it, right? So just to distract the mind. And another thing is use your senses, right? The stress basically comes through the senses, right? You don't, you hear something, you see something, you test something, whatever, right? Some kind of touch, etc., brings the stress. You can react using the same senses, you can react, right? Actually, for example, if you are in the stressful situation, by viewing a favorite photo, smelling a specific scent, listening to a favorite piece of music, testing some kind of a, thing that you like, some test you like, sweet, sour, whatever, right? Hugging a pet, right? And then you can just come out of the immediate stress at least, and then start thinking about the longer plan, basically, right? I have included this slide. This is not really relevant to the stress part of it, but basically, this is, because of your financial problems and time management problems, many times get you into the stress. So here is the thing that you remember actually, the four categories. If there are urgent and important activities, do it yourself, do it in the steps and share incremental deliverables. If it's, and I'll cover all this in the time and task management. If it's urgent but not important, then delegate and follow for completion, right? You do follow up, but you delegate, you don't work on it, basically, right? Only when it comes to the critical part, when it moves from that section to the above section, then you quickly take the control of it and then you do it yourself. Whatever is done, let's say your team member has done 50% of it, you take the control of it and finish the rest 50%, right? But until then, just don't focus on it, otherwise you end up doing everything. A third category is important but not urgent, right? Then you delegate it and review for the quality and completeness, because you really don't want to, it is important but not urgent, basically. So you don't have to really, worry about it. It has not become urgent. But then make sure that whenever it has to be delivered, it is very, very important thing. So timely set some time to review it. It's not that you'll wait till the end and you see something, oh my God, I was not expecting this. This was something else I had in mind, and you completely now are at a problem. Not urgent and not important. You just delegate and trust. No review or follow up needed. But however, offline feedback can be given. If something has not come to your expectation, your level, then you keep it in the mind, note it down somewhere, or you remember. And next time when you are talking to this guy in one-on-one or whatever, right? Uh, or over a cup of tea, right? You just give the feedback. Hey, by the way, you should have done it this way rather than that way, right? And this important section was missing. This aspect was missing. Approach could have been this way. So offline feedback is good enough, basically, right? So delegate and trust. So that way you will keep your time focused on the urgent and important activities, and not kind of end up stressing yourself. All right. So recap. So any learning from this? Was it helpful? Anybody?
It
Archana,
was
was
very,
it helpful
very
to you?
helpful,
Who's this?
Mahesh. This is Adil here.
Oh, hi, hi.
Hi, Mahesh.
Yes,
Yeah. Wonderful,
great.
wonderful presentation, and thanks. A lot of insights, a 360-degree
Amazing,
view.
amazing,
Can I just
amazing.
ask you one question, Mahesh?
Yes, yes,
Perhaps
please.
your personal experiences, if you can share something as to how
I'm assuming most all of this you have gathered from your own experiences, but anything that is something that you might want to share with us, any particular case where you found it very, very stressful, and which of these tenets really helped you?
Oh, many, many. I mean, I just,
Absolutely.
it's like many times it happens, right? From the childhood, you always, you kind of, you grow up learning things, right? Actually. Okay. So I'll tell you one interesting incident now that you ask. So my number was unique, right? It was some like, one triple, one four times zero, some 5040. This was my hall ticket number, right? In my 12th examination, right? And uh, uh, something, right? And then I used to tell people that number when somebody used to ask, right? You had this among friends, right? What's your hall ticket number, which center and all? I used to tell them 10,000 50 40, right? So this was my habit, right? And when I actually wrote it down, I wrote it 105040, something of that sort, right? Actually on the paper, right? And while this like happened for 2 3 papers, and then when was like appearing for my chemistry paper, I realized that, hey, you know what, this number is not right. Okay. So and then I realized that all the previous papers I have done this, big mess basically,
Oh
right?
my God.
And I thought, okay, and then I was like, I panicked basically, right? Fortunately that paper was over. So and then I went to the board office, and it was locked. Nobody was there because during the exams, board office, nobody is there basically, right? So I had no clue as to how to deal with it actually, right? And I stressed myself out basically completely, right? And but then, eventually some of the things I learned when I look back at these, right? It's like nothing happened, right? Nothing happened, right? Somebody would have rectified it, because we have two options. Either you put it in numbers, or as well as you put it in numbers as well as in words, right? So words, I had written it properly. And you have these individual letters, right? That's their task anyways basically, right? To cross check things and correct. They would have corrected it basically, right? So anyways, so this is one fun incident basically, and there are so many of them basically, right? So that I learned over a period, that okay, things could go wrong, and you need to eventually figure out way, right? It's not like, in the overall scheme of things, it may be a small thing, but that time you feel that, okay, that's the whole thing about your, entire future or life. So take it easy.
Hi, sir.
Thanks so
Kajal
much.
here.
Yep. Yeah.
It was wonderful, sir. All the presentation and all the slides. One thing personally which I liked was Rama's example. That was even the big people, they also make mistakes, so we don't have to stress out on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other things of what I really liked was the examples in the quadrants, urgent and important. I have read that so many times, but then today I actually got the understanding, like with the examples that you mentioned. So overall, it was wonderful.
Amazing. Amazing. Great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. And
that's
any other questions, feedbacks, feel free to reach out to me, and we can always discuss about these things. Yeah.
Please take care of your health, Mahesh.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you
Thanks
you.
a lot.
so
Thank you,
much
Bye
for
bye.
sir.
an
thank you,
informative
sir.
Thanks, Jay.
session. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
You. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.